Hi, I'm Dave Hansen, Director of Engineering and Product Development at Chevrolet. On behalf of everyone here at Chevy, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for choosing Corvette. By doing so, you've joined a group of driving enthusiasts who have a passion for their cars like none other. From its debut in 1953, Corvette has been recognized as a design and a technology leader, and now the legend lives on as Corvette continues to win the hearts of not only Americans, but driving enthusiasts around the world. The people who designed and built your Corvette, along with the entire Chevrolet organization, are committed to your complete satisfaction as a Corvette owner. By reading your owner's manual and watching this video, you'll learn more about the thrill of driving your new Corvette and how to maintain its performance and its appearance. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And again, thanks for choosing Corvette.
In this video, we'll explore the many facets of the Corvette ownership experience. First, in performance review, four-time Indy 500 champ Rick Mears and Corvette Engineering Continuous Improvement Manager John Heinrichsey offer an up-close look at the performance, design, and capabilities of your 1994 Corvette. Next, members of the Corvette engineering team review the major technical highlights for 1994. It's followed by feature operation that provides step-by-step instructions for the use of key features and controls, and Corvette Care, which offers valuable information that will help you keep your Corvette looking good for years to come. We'll also take you inside the Corvette assembly plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky, to see how state-of-the-art technology, craftsmanship, and personal commitment work in harmony to produce Corvette. And finally, you'll ride along with members of the Corvette team as they evaluate pre-production models in an audit drive. That's one of the many steps that demonstrate the commitment to quality behind your Corvette.
I never considered driving a car like this a job. It was something that I did for the joy and excitement of it. And I can say as a Corvette owner that Corvette has helped me capture that same kind of passion for driving that I felt during my racing years.
Racing has always played an important role in the development of Corvette because it allows us to evaluate the car under extreme driving conditions. My experience driving a Corvette in the SCCA World Challenge Series has been very valuable. What our engineering team learns on the track helps us as we strive for that perfect balance between performance and a comfortable, well-mannered car that you can enjoy driving every day. In the next few minutes, we'll take a closer look at Corvette's performance characteristics and give you a behind-the-scenes look at some of the ongoing testing we conduct on Corvette.
When you talk about Corvette's performance, the best place to start is under the hood. Corvette's LT1 is the latest generation of the engine that's commonly referred to as the Chevy small block V8. It was named the LT1 when it was introduced in 1992 because it was the first Chevy small block to surpass the power of the original 1970 Corvette LT1. Today's LT1 generates 300 horsepower and 340 foot-pounds of torque. It has a cast iron block and utilizes many aluminum components, including the throttle body, intake manifold, and cylinder heads. The fuel injection system is a sequential multi-port design. But more important than how much power it puts out is how the LT1 manages its performance capability.
As the horsepower and torque curves for the LT1 indicate, the LT1 is engineered to make maximum use of its power. Peak horsepower is at 5,000 RPM and the engine redlines at about 5,700. Also notice how the torque band is wide and flat. This shows how the LT1 is tuned to deliver a consistent level of responsiveness at both the high and low end of operation. We conduct extensive testing of Corvette's engine performance every year to ensure that you're getting the most out of its capability. Under test track conditions, an LT1 coupe with a 6-speed manual transmission can run the quarter mile in under 14 seconds. And the convertible adds only about a half second to the quarter mile time, mostly because of its aerodynamic differences. You can feel this power every time you drive the Corvette, and it's good to know it's there when you need it.
The use of aluminum components in an engine has two major benefits. First of all, it helps dissipate heat more quickly, which allows an engine to run cooler and harder. The second benefit is its weight savings. The lighter the vehicle and the more powerful the engine, the faster it will run. This factor is expressed by a car's horsepower to weight ratio. For Corvette Coupe, the horsepower to weight ratio is approximately 1 horsepower for every 11 pounds. And for convertible, it's about 1 to every 11.2 pounds. But there's a lot more to performance than just horsepower and straight line acceleration.
Your brakes are extremely important. They must be consistent under all driving conditions. That's why Corvette's 4-wheel disc brake system features standard 12-inch rotors and dual piston front calipers for sure stopping power. The vented design of the wheels helps maximize brake cooling. The cooler you can keep the brakes, the less chance you have of fading.
Corvette's anti-lock brake system also contributes to the car's overall performance and your ability to maintain control under hard braking conditions. I'm approaching a wet surface that's used in testing to simulate ice. There's a barricade in my lane. I applied the brakes fully, and the ABS prevented the wheels from locking and allowed me to steer the car.
Corvette's acceleration slip regulation system works in conjunction with ABS to help maximize the driver's ability. Using brake intervention, throttle relaxation, and spark retard, the system allows Corvette to make the best use of available traction. In this test, it's clear that the car with the ASR on is much better able to accelerate on the split coefficient.
Corvette's handling also plays a big role in helping you control the car. The suspension system is like an orchestra. There are many different pieces that must work in harmony, and even the tiniest details are always being fine-tuned to improve the overall handling and ride quality.
When we introduced the 1984 Corvette, it had phenomenal handling. In fact, in some testing, we were able to pull 1 full G on the skid pad. Unfortunately, this handling was at the expense of ride quality, and we took some criticism from the automotive press for the car's stiff ride. Ever since then, we've been refining Corvette's suspension system to deliver a more comfortable ride without degrading its handling ability, and our work has clearly paid off with today's Corvette. Up front, Corvette's 4-wheel independent suspension utilizes a double wishbone design, which is also used on many types of race cars. The wishbone suspension has a low unsprung weight, which is the combined weight of the tire, wheel, and suspension components. This helps each wheel maintain excellent contact with the road. Like the A-arms you see here, many of Corvette's suspension components are made of lightweight aluminum alloy. The independent rear suspension utilizes 5 link connections to help ensure a smooth ride and precise handling. Corvette's suspension also incorporates front and rear stabilizer bars that help minimize body sway during cornering. It also utilizes transverse-mounted leaf springs and gas pressurized shock absorbers. In addition, on almost all Corvettes, the wheels and tires in back are larger than those in front. This is a perfect example of how we've fine-tuned Corvette's suspension over the years. The larger tires in back maximize traction, while the front tires help contribute to better steering and handling. The tires are Goodyear Eagle GSC radials. They have an asymmetrical tread pattern that puts more rubber toward the outside of the car. This aids traction while cornering as the weight of the car shifts to the outside. The asymmetrical tread pattern, which was first designed exclusively for Corvette, enhances both wet and dry performance and helps minimize road noise.
Finally, to help meet different driving needs, selective ride control is available on all Corvettes. From a rotary switch on the center console, the driver can select either touring, sport, or performance settings. Each one gives the car a progressively stiffer ride. And within each setting, there are 6 shock valving positions that adjust automatically depending on the vehicle's speed. You can see the regulator module for selective ride control on top of the shock absorber. Selective ride control creates a best of all worlds suspension for everything from commuting to the office to recreational driving. And it's on the road where all of the suspension components we talked about come to life. Corvette engineers use telemetric readouts to conduct endurance testing on the car's suspension setup and components. Here they're evaluating the impact of driving conditions, including accelerating, turning, and braking instantaneously as it happens. At Team Penske, we use the same kind of system on our Indy cars during practice and the race. Knowing exactly how the car is performing on the racetrack is a tremendous advantage. And at our level of competition, you need every edge you can get.
One of the key attributes of a performance car like Corvette is its balance. A 50-50 front-to-rear weight distribution is a good benchmark to measure against. Corvette coupe models have a 51 to 49% front-to-rear ratio, and convertibles are right on the 50-50 mark. But as the car moves, the weight shifts around, from front to back when you accelerate, back to front when you brake, and side to side when you corner. The lower the center of gravity, the less the weight will shift, and the better balance the car will have. Corvette's center of gravity is just 15 inches off the ground.
For comparison, an Indy car's center of gravity is about 12 inches off the ground. So far, we've talked a lot about Corvette's performance features, but one of the most important performance attributes of Corvette is how the cockpit is designed to help maximize the driver's ability to operate the car.
Corvette's cockpit surrounds the driver. The instruments are logically placed and easy to read, and all controls are within a short reach, allowing you to concentrate on the road ahead. The steering wheel is easy to grip and comfortable to hold, and the seats keep you in position with excellent side, back, and thigh support. Normally, the seat belt is free moving for your comfort. It only locks when necessary.
But when you want to maintain a firm seating position all of the time, there's a cinch button on each retractor to lock the lap belt in place. There are many different aspects of the Corvette performance story, from its engine and suspension system to the layout of the cockpit.
We're very proud of this car, and we hope your appreciation for its performance, design, and capability grows each time you drive the Corvette.
In 1994, Corvette continues its evolution as one of the world's premier performance cars and as one of the automotive industry's design and technology pioneers. 1994 is also significant in the engineering history of Corvette because it's the first model year under the new engineering director, Dave Hill. Only the third person to hold the position since Corvette debuted in 1953.
I've been associated with the Corvette team now for 7 months, and it's been a really marvelous and extraordinary experience to come in and get to know these folks. You know, the Corvettes have always been really vivacious, exciting cars, and it's easy to see how they get that way because the people that are responsible for the engineering of them are just about as exceptional as the cars that they do.
For 1994, Corvette has a redesigned cockpit, including the door panels, instrument panel, and seats. These changes not only make Corvette a more driver-oriented car, they showcase advancements in human factors engineering and production processes.
The door design is interesting technically, and it's very appealing visually because now we have a symmetry between the driver's and passenger's door that didn't exist before. And there's some interesting technology here that's most obvious on the two-tone cars, but these two pieces of vinyl are actually fused together before the panel is formed, and that's a unique process called the Strapazzini process. We like these little pockets that are right there where the driver can get at them. I really like the white graphics because they're easy on the eyes, but they have a real high contrast ratio, so they're very practical. And there's some interesting technology in the seat. These seams here also are formed in a unique technology called the Schurbahn process, where the two leather pieces are fused together, and that enables this joint to be done in a unique appearance that's not possible with conventional cut and sew techniques.
Corvette's LT1 engine and ZR1's LT5 are truly world-class performers. And every year, engineers try to push the envelope a little further to deliver engines that are not only powerful, but also durable and pleasing to drive. Just one example of this continuing refinement is the change in the LT1's fuel injection system for 1994.
Sequential fuel injection is what we've gone to on the 94 LT1. The LT5, the ZR1 engine, has always had sequential. The main difference is that for each cylinder event, In other words, each intake event, there is one injector that fires at the same timing relative to the intake valve opening at each injector. The advantage to this is it's more uniform fuel distribution.
And one of the biggest benefits of sequential port fuel injection you'll appreciate every day is the smooth idle quality of your engine.
Both the LT1 engine and the LT5 and the ZR1 use Mobil 1 synthetic oil as original factory fill. We use synthetic oil in the car because under the demanding conditions of a Corvette, we want to be able to utilize the additional thermal capacity that synthetic oil has. The ability of synthetic oil to run at higher temperatures for longer periods of time has also allowed us to eliminate the oil cooler, and we were thus able to achieve a mass reduction on the LT1 engine.
Perhaps nothing showcases the evolution of Corvette from 1984 to today more than the continuous refinement of its suspension system.
In 1984, the original car was targeted around a certain performance envelope, and in arriving at that answer, a lot of the customers in general came back and said the car rides too hard to hit that level. So we kind of set the performance level at that expectation and then went back to work on delivering a car that was more livable, more drivable on a daily basis. We made a real watershed in '92 when we delivered the '92 product. The other years, certainly we've continued to evolve the car. There was a major change in '88 when we changed the suspension. But in '92 we did a major update in spring rates, tires, and the basic handling of the car with the FX3 suspension. We're trying to do the same thing in '94 where we're still holding the same performance envelope, but delivering a vehicle that is more manageable so that the average driver can enjoy more of the vehicle and not feel like he's being intimidated at that level.
Tires are an important part of Corvette's suspension system and contribute greatly to its handling capability. Corvette has always been an industry leader in tire design and technology. From the original unidirectional gator backs in 1984, the asymmetrical tread pattern of the Eagle GSCs introduced in 1992, and now this year's availability of Goodyear Eagle GSC Extended Mobility Tires, EMTs, with run-flat capability.
The intent of the EMT was to design a tire that would be transparent to the user when inflated. It feels just like a normal Eagle GSC. The advantages only come into play when it loses air, but we don't want your Corvette to behave any differently on the EMT inflated than it does on a conventional GSC.
The extended mobility tire is designed much like a conventional Eagle GSC, but it also utilizes specially compounded inserts that are built into the sidewall. These inserts are strong enough to support the weight of the vehicle in the event of air loss at speeds up to 55 miles per hour for as far as 200 miles.
The first benefit of the EMT is the security of knowing that if you damage a tire to the point of air loss, you don't necessarily have to stop. You have a period of 200 miles in which to decide where you're going to stop and when you're going to stop. Another obvious benefit is the normal car carries a jack and one spare tire. And in a multiple flat occurrence, you're stranded. With the EMTs, you can continue when 1, 2, or 4 tires are flat.
The available extended mobility tires are teamed with Corvette's low tire pressure warning system. The system utilizes tire pressure sensors at each wheel that are continually sending a low-frequency radio signal to a receiver. When the receiver detects a loss of tire pressure, the low, flat tire light will illuminate on the driver information center.
This is absolutely essential with an EMT because you cannot tell your tire has lost air without a system to tell you that. The tire does not feel enough different to let you know exactly when the deflation took place.
In 1992, an acceleration slip regulation traction control system was introduced on Corvette. ASR is again standard on all Corvette models for 1994.
The design objective of ASR was to make the Corvette an all-seasons vehicle. Along with the Goodyear GSC tires and the ASR, I think we've accomplished that pretty good in the Corvette.
In this split coefficient drag demo, one side of each car is on ice and the other on dry pavement. ASR is turned off on one Corvette while it's active on the other. The comparison between the two cars clearly shows how ASR maximizes the available traction and clearly outmatches the driver who's relying solely on his own skill to keep the car moving straight ahead.
The driver will notice these benefits the most primarily when he's unaware of the coefficient conditions that are existing on the road, such as sand at an intersection, passing during freezing conditions where the road might be icy and he's unaware of it. It's an indicator that you should slow down, that you're being too aggressive for the existing conditions.
The ASR control unit is located underneath the floor behind the driver's seat. The same module also operates Corvette's anti-lock brake system. If the system senses excessive wheel slip, it maximizes the available traction by controlling engine torque and/or brake intervention. Torque is controlled both by retarding spark to the engine and a throttle relaxer. When the throttle relaxer engages, the driver feels feedback through the accelerator pedal. Brake intervention helps stop the wheels from spinning by gently applying and releasing brake line pressure. Brake intervention does not activate at speeds above 50 miles per hour. A light on the driver information center signals anytime the system is active.
Different slip thresholds are used depending on if the vehicle is cornering, acceleration rate, and the speed of the vehicle.
There's also a button that allows drivers to turn ASR off.
Excessive slip in some snow conditions is desirable, where you literally dig right through the snow to make the car move. If the ASR were on, you lose the momentum because we stop the wheel from slipping, and when you lose the momentum, you lose your forward velocity.
ASR is another Corvette innovation that can benefit all drivers in everyday driving situations.
It takes the intimidation away of driving a high horsepower car, and even a skilled driver can benefit from it.
Advancements in its interior design, powertrains, and suspension system all help keep Corvette at the forefront of design and technology leadership for 1994. Not technology for technology's sake, but technology that comes together to create a total performance package. A car that's exciting and fun to drive, and one that's comfortable and easy to live with every day. This program overviews the operation of key features on your Corvette and explains things you might notice that are a part of the car's normal operation. Your knowledge and understanding of Corvette will greatly enhance your ownership enjoyment. First, let's review Corvette's passive keyless entry, commonly referred to as PKE. It automatically unlocks the car and disarms the security system as you approach the vehicle. The system's range is approximately 5 feet. As you leave the vehicle, it automatically locks the doors and turns on the alarm. The horn also chirps to let you know that the car is locked and secure. In order to operate, the PKE system must first be programmed. In most cases, this will have been done at the dealership, and if your passive keyless entry is already operating, there's no need to program it at this time. If PKE is not operating, you must first learn if it's programmed but simply turned off. Here's how. Make sure the key is out of the ignition and the radio is off. Then press and hold the door button on the key fob for more than 2 seconds. If the system is programmed, the doors will lock and then unlock to tell you that it is now turned on. If nothing happens, you will need to program the system. Programming creates a unique computerized security code between the transmitter key fob and your car's PKE receiver. More than 1 million possible security code combinations exist, so there's very little chance of 2 cars having identical codes. There are 7 easy steps in programming PKE. First, move all transmitters to be programmed out of range of the vehicle. The approximate ranges for coupe and convertible models are shown in this diagram. Second, put the key in the ignition and turn it to the on position, but do not start the car. Third, push the trip auto button twice. And fourth, within 5 seconds, push and hold the fuel info button until the passive keyless entry light illuminates on the driver information center, or DIC. The fifth step is to turn the ignition off, but do not remove the key. You'll see the passive keyless entry light start flashing once per second. Step number 6 is to bring the first transmitter into range. Once the receiver recognizes it, the passive keyless entry light will illuminate solid. Please remember to only bring one transmitter into range at a time. Finally, take the transmitter out of range. The DIC light will then start flashing 2 times per second. If a second or third transmitter needs to be programmed, simply repeat steps 6 and 7. Once all transmitters are programmed, remove the key from the ignition. If you ever add an additional transmitter, you will need to reprogram your vehicle with all transmitters at the same time. You can also reprogram if you want to ensure programming security so no other transmitters will work. Once the system is programmed, you can easily turn it on and off and switch between modes. Turn it on and off as follows. First, bring the transmitter into range and make sure the key is out of the ignition. Second, press and hold the door button on the transmitter for more than 2 seconds. The doors will then lock and unlock. If the system was on, it's now off, and if it was off, it's now on. It's recommended to turn the system off if you take the keys and leave someone waiting in the car so they don't set off the alarm if they open the door, or if you'll be working in or around the car and moving in and out of the system's range. When the PKE is on, you can choose between 2 modes of operation. The first mode unlocks the driver's door as you approach the car, while the second mode unlocks both doors. Either locks both doors as you walk away from the car. To select the operating mode that's most convenient for you, follow these 2 steps. First, bring the transmitter into range and place the key in the ignition, but do not turn it on. Second, press and hold the door button on the transmitter fob for more than 2 seconds. When the system recognizes the transmitter, both doors will lock, and then either the driver's door or both doors will unlock. This tells you which mode the system is now in. For example, if only the driver's door unlocks, the system is on driver's door only mode. To activate the both doors mode, simply repeat this procedure by holding the door button for more than 2 seconds.